G'day YouTube, JB from Oz again. Now that we've got a backhoe out on the farm, it was time to get into some of the bigger projects that we had in mind. You can see here from the size of the dam, we really did need a bigger piece of machinery to tackle this job. Had some quotes which was going to cost me a fair bit to get this done by an external contractor, and it meant that I had to get organised and know exactly what I was wanting to do ahead of time and so forth. The backhoe really was the option for me. Got a lot of work to do. Hopefully at the end of it we'll have what I need in the time frame I've got and with the budget I've got. One of the issues I had when I was starting to use this backhoe down this incline was that I was getting a fuel surge or a cutout on the fuel line. That was a bit disconcerting because when you're going downhill in a 4-ton machine and you have to suddenly stop and you've got no hydraulics, it's pretty hard to do. As a result, I got stuck down the hole. Couldn't actually get the machine started one night when I was running out of time, so home I went. This led to the decision to pull the fuel tank off and give it a bit of a clean through, a bit of a service. This led to a complete overhaul. Got it into the trusty sandblaster, got all the outside paint and rust off. A part of that was also looking at the fuel line in there. Looks like at some point maybe it had a hit from the side, so the original fuel line, which had about a 3/8 inch hole, had been replaced with a 1/4 inch hole. So I replaced that piece of fuel line at the same time as clearing through all the muck and debris out of the bottom of the tank and treating it with a rust clean treatment and then a fuel tank lining treatment. What you can see here is the single pack tank liner material that I used to coat the entire inside of the fuel tank. My hope is that this will stop further rusting inside the tank. Time will tell. I proceeded to coat the outside of the tank with a number of coats of paint. It was quite a big area and it was quite blowy, and for some reason the bugs seem to really like yellow, so there'd be a few coats and then a few bugs being cleaned out and a few more coats and a few more bugs to clean out. Eventually I got enough paint on there that it was fairly even in coating, and from 20 feet it's going to be fine. I got a new fuel cap and also some seal kits for the dipper. I wanted to replace the seals in the dipper and see if I could stop the back from dropping. So I gave the toolbox a good old sandblast, another coat of paint there as well. Nice and clean. You're going to do the job right, you may as well. So I got the fuel tank back on the Bobcat, got the toolbox next to it, and then set about working on the rear dipper ram. One of the things with the backhoe is that the only way that ram comes out is really when it's on full downward extension. So I figured out that if I dug a hole with the backhoe, I could drop the dipper in there and then get enough clearance to be able to manhandle the ram out of the back of the boom. I didn't have any real lifting equipment where I was, so I was stuck to using some ratchet straps and a bit of ingenuity to get the ram out of the back of the dipper. Once it was out, I then suspended it in such a way that I could pull the ram out of the cylinder whilst not losing all of the oil that was in the cylinder. On close inspection, all the seals in there were pretty stuffed. They must have done a fair bit of time, so pulled it all out, gave it a bit of a clean, and then replaced the seal kits. It was a fairly easy job to replace once we got it open, put the ram back in, and then proceeded to juggle the cylinder. I'm not sure how heavy it was, I couldn't lift it on my own. Juggle the cylinder back into place down the dipper, get the pins locked into place, and then eventually fire it all up again and lift it out of the hole. If I hadn't been able to fix it, I wasn't really sure how I was going to get it out of there, but at least the way we did it, I was able to get it out and didn't need the extra lifting gear to do it. And the proof was in the pudding. Once I replaced these seals, the dipper was perfect. It came up, it held level, it didn't drop anymore, the job was done, and I could now get on to dealing with the dam. The only issue was that the time that it had taken to get the fuel tank and the dipper sorted, we were now into winter. The rain, of course, filled up the dam, and it meant that further digging was not really possible. I'll come back to that job another time, knowing that I've done the right job on my backhoe and we're ready to fight another day. Thanks for watching.